G'day guys, Gordon from Blue Tongue Industries. I wanted to dedicate this video as a handover for the 3-stage reverse osmosis system from Ionic Systems. So depending on where you're located, Australia, New Zealand, may depend on how the unit will arrive to you. If it may be ready to pull straight out of the box, or there may be some partial assembly, and I'll drop a link below on that assembly on a previous video that we've done if it does need partial assembly on arrival. Let's step through and talk about the Treon. So your Treon system may or may not come with a softener. So as other parts of the world, our water quality, TDS levels, differs vastly. So TDS as total dissolved solids, or parts per million, ppm, of our local town water supply. So in Australia, Perth being the worst, Adelaide and Brisbane are partly on par. Sydney probably sitting around the 100-110 TDS, then followed by Melbourne. Geelong sits about the same as Sydney, and our best water quality in Australia is probably in Canberra. So the softening resin cartridge or filter can come in different configurations. The Ionic Systems caddy, or we can supply a resin vessel with resin as a softening agent. So it's going to act as the 4th stage of filtration on the Treon system, and its primary purpose is to pull calcium and lime from the water, which is going to prolong the life of the reverse osmosis filter. At a staged interval, depending whether you're running a 6 litre or an 8 litre vessel, and you can ask us more, there will be a maintenance procedure which you can also find in our handover manual on how often we may need to back flush this softening cartridge. So it's back flushed in the reverse direction with salty brine water to rejuvenate the resin for the next day's operation. So hose reels can differ as well. We can have 100 metres of 8mm internal diameter hose to feed from your Treon system to your water-fed pole, or we could have a 50-metre compact lightweight unit. There are also other variations, and stainless steel as portable and stainless steel as vehicle or trailer mounted. So ask us more about the combinations of hose reels that may suit your operation. So the poles chosen in your kit, the Hydra from Ionic Systems, come in a various array of sizes to suit your cleaning needs. Solar panel cleaning, window cleaning, facade cleaning, building washing. We have poles that start from the mini, 900 compressed to 1.5 extension, all the way up to the 65-foot pole at 18.5 metre reach. Composition can be glass, carbon, or high modulus carbon. I'll drop a link below on Hydra pole care. Variety of brushes from pencil jet to fan, flocked and monofilament. So on your Treon system as a 3-stage reverse osmosis, we have carbon, which the water out of the pump will hit first. The reverse osmosis filter, which is a mechanical filter. Water goes through it, and water also goes around that filter in the flush sequence, and then the water is polished by the last filter, the DI filter, the deionized resin. 2 filters on the front, the plastic, carbon and DI, will need to be changed in frequencies depending on your water requirement. So simple as removing a snap ring, and filters and parts can all be seen on our website at bluetongueindustries.com.au. So it's as simple as removing the snap ring. There is an O-ring underneath the housing cap that can be lubricated and cleaned to go back in that particular manner. The filters assemblies themselves can be easily popped out of the housing, and a new one can be inserted. Take note of the O-ring on the top. It needs to face in the upward direction like an open bowl when reinserted. Simply reverse the direction and snap ring in place. So let's talk about the Treon now in itself. So because these go all around the world, we have an adapter lead, and the adapter lead just allows us to plug into a standard 10 amp power receptacle. It's only a 0.37 kilowatt motor, standard 10 amp. If you were to run this from a generator, a 2 kVA generator is absolutely suffice the operation of this particular piece of equipment. You may ask, why do we need power? An RO filter needs pressure to work efficiently. So the water going through the filter and around the filter is flushed away by that extra pressure, so it's advisable to plug the unit into power whenever possible. On the front of the Trion we have an hour meter. The hour meter will reflect litres per minute, which can give us an indication on when filters need to be changed. The small carbon we'd expect in Australia, which will pull chlorine and organics, around 200 hours. The DI cartridge, the last filter, will be dependent on your water quality out. So measuring the ppm from your water out and keeping that at 0. When that starts to move away from 0, there's no great rush. There won't be major spikes in your water, but then come to us and purchase another filter, ready to change that and get your system back up and operational. The RO filter in this particular system will last many years, and depending on where you are in Australia, we can advise frequency changes on that particular RO membrane. We have a pressure gauge. The pressure gauge is very important and gives us an indication on the pressure coming from the garden tap and also the pressure that the machine is operating, and we'll fire this system up in a few minutes to give you a full rundown. The on-off switch is simply a power interruption switch to turn the unit on and off. Untreated water in, as labelled, will be from our garden tap. Our reject water is the water coming from around the RO filter in a cleaning process. Our pure water is our water going to our hose reel, which will go to our water fed pole for cleaning. The bypass valve, as I mentioned previously before, the water running around the RO filter and through the RO filter is controlled by the bypass valve. So when the tap is opened and the tap is in line with the pipe, it's allowing maximum water flow around the RO filter. In this position, we'll have maximum reject water coming from our RO filter, and it's often referred to in the manual as an RO flush, and that is done at the end of the task. We're opening up the bypass valve, cleaning the RO filter and allowing maximum water to reject. When the system is up and running, ideally we don't want to see more than 120 psi operating pressure. So there is ways to adjust the pump, and please ask us more if in your area you're operating in high incoming pressures from the council main supply. That pressure can be intermittently changed and adjusted on site without adjusting the pump and controlling the bypass valve from the open position to the closed position. Putting the bypass valve in the closed position like this will push water through the RO filter. It will reduce our reject water and increase our pure water for working. So in 99% of the cases when we are working, the bypass valve will be in the closed position. We'll have a decrease in RO water and an increase in pure water. At the end of the task, when we go an RO back flush or an RO flush, we'll open up the bypass valve, which will increase our reject water and decrease our pure water. So just to reiterate, if you are using a softener to pull calcium and lime in those harder water areas, whether it's a caddy or a vessel like this filled with softening resin, the vessels have an inlet. On the caddy, we call it the cap end. So we'd call this the inlet end. The outlet end will go to the Trion system. On the resin vessel itself, it has an inlet and outlet. So if we were using the caddy, the garden hose, garden tap would go to the inlet. The outlet would run a small link hose to the untreated water in. So to simulate on the bottle, we have an inlet in the bottle, the outlet of the bottle coming from our softening filter will run directly to the untreated water in. As simple as that. So in Geelong, our water is not as bad as some, so we can suffice that we don't require a softening vessel in this particular water condition. But I just wanted to reiterate how to connect a softener. I'll drop links below on how to back flush these particular units, and you might also find that quite useful. So we've just connected our standard garden water supply to the untreated water end. We're not connecting a softening filter at this particular point in time. So the RO filter is in full bypass, and you can see that there with the tap in line with the hose. Maximum water to bypass, but what I wanted to show you is when we close that bypass valve and push water through the RO filter, we'll get an increase in pressure with the back pressure indicated on the pressure gauge, and this will be a very rough indication on our garden tap supply. So we've got, if I can see here correctly, about 60 psi coming inlet from our mains council water supply. Our reject water and our pure water are pretty evenly matched, and that water will be reading 0 ppm, but the RO filter itself is not working 100% efficiently. So if we did a water test of the RO out before it hits the DI, we would find that once we do turn power on and do another test, the dramatic drop in the ppm or the purity of that water coming out of a powered RO system will dramatically improve once we turn the power on, and that means that your long-term running costs of operating the machine with power on will be dramatically reduced. So it is advisable to plug your unit in and turn the power on. It'll also give you more water at your brush for your cleaning and a faster rinse. So when we turn the unit on, the bypass valve open, so under pressure we've got maximum water going to reject, and that's carrying out our RO flush to discharge that water around the filter and flush the dirty contaminants that RO membrane has caught. When we close the bypass valve and push the water through the RO, we'll see a changeover from reject water to pure water. So our reject water decreased, our pure water increased, and that is our water that will be directed through a lead hose to our hose reel for cleaning. Hope that you've got a bit from this video and this handover presentation. I'll drop another link below too on how to wash a window and the techniques and procedures. So the hardest window to wash is an old dirty timber window. So if you have the paint silicone deteriorated, we'll use a two-step procedure on that particular wash. It's advised to do the frames, do the frame next to it, and do the frame next to it. When the dirty water stops dripping from that first frame, come back, agitate the glass, do a rinse, keep the water away from that top frame, and that'll give you the optimum spot-free finish using your reverse osmosis system. Commercial aluminium windows can be treated differently, and as your experience grows, you'll learn how fast you can push it and the amount that you need to rinse to get that optimum spot-free finish. All the information, bluetongueindustries.com.au. We appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.